Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is the Raptor, and welcome back to another Q&A video. This is actually probably the quickest I've been able to get a Q&A video out for you guys. I was actually able to get it out before school starts for me, which is probably going to save me a lot of time later, and it makes it a lot more convenient, so I'm really happy about that. And before I get this Q&A started, I just want to give one more thanks to all of you, everyone who watches my videos, and everyone who subscribed, because, 700 subscribers is still an incredible milestone for me. It's an incredible number, and we're still going strong even after that. And without all of you guys, I have no idea where this channel would be right now. Definitely not to the level that it's gotten to nowadays. So I think it really deserves one more Thanksgiving. So for 700 subscribers, for nearly 170,000 overall video views, and for all the support that you guys have given me, here it is, the Rappter Q&A number 7. I hope you guys enjoy. So if you've been here before, you know how this works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with one person, answer all of that person's questions, and then move on to the next person, since a lot of you guys did ask more than one question. But yeah, other than that, there's really nothing to say. Let's get right into it. So let's start off with someone good. Let's start off with Jake B. So Jake B asks, what character do you want to return to Death Battle? There are a number of characters that I wouldn't mind seeing come back to Death Battle, but if I had to pick one, it would probably be Harry Potter. For a number of reasons. The first one is that, simply put, I really like Harry Potter, the character and the franchise. So, I would love to see him come back and have a second chance at winning a Death Battle, even though I do definitely agree that Luke Skywalker deserved his victory over him. A second reason is that I do think there are good opponents for Harry Potter, so if they were to put him back in, finding an opponent shouldn't be too difficult. And the third reason is that I think the episode that he was in was like episode 15 of Death Battle or something, so that's pretty early, so I'd love to see an updated analysis and, like, how they're doing it now, now that their analyses are so in-depth. I'd love to see them analyze Harry Potter that way. So yeah, if I had to pick, it would probably be Harry Potter. What is your favorite vacation spot? I've quite loved the vast majority of the vacations that I've been on, and I've been to a lot of different places. Like, I've been to places that are more hot during the summer, like really hot, like California, and I've also been to bigger cities like New York and Chicago. I live in Canada, so going to the US is a real treat. But overall, I'd have to say that my favorite vacation spot is probably just anywhere in the Caribbean. Last year for March break, I actually went to Cuba, and it was one of the most relaxing times of my life. And it was a nice change because most of the vacations I go on, have a lot of different things going on, like every day is jam-packed with events. So just to have 1 week where I was like, just relax, at like a beach area, and it was hot, it was nice, that was a real treat. So yeah, probably just anywhere in the Caribbean is my favorite place to go. I would definitely like to go back there someday. What's your favorite Who'd Win and Why season? My favorite season of Who'd Win and Why would definitely have to be season 8. For me, season 8 had the best of basically all worlds. In my opinion, it had one of the best matchup selections ever on the show, if not the best, and it was also just the best in terms of analysis and overall quality. And while the production of the episodes might have started to really slow down in the second half, I still really enjoyed making all the episodes, and it seems like a lot of you guys enjoyed seeing them too. And don't get me wrong, there are a lot of other seasons that I love to make, and also season 9 is definitely the best in terms of editing, so that one's definitely high up there too, but overall I would still say that season 8 is my favorite. Desert Fox asks, what's one dream Death Battle you'd absolutely love to see? The one matchup that I would absolutely love Death Battle to do would probably have to be Galactus versus Unicron. And if you've been around the channel long enough, you'll know that this was going to be my answer. Galactus versus Unicron is a matchup that I've wanted to see for years, and it's also a matchup that Death Battle has been teasing for literal years. And I just think that it's about time they did it, especially since that the 100th episode is coming up, and this is such a highly requested matchup, and the scope and size of the characters is so big. However, they did recently have 2 Marvel characters, and in the next Death Battle they're having a Transformers character, so I'm not sure if they're going to want to go back to those 2 worlds so soon. Regardless though, I do think they're eventually going to do it. I think it's practically been confirmed at this point, and I just love to see it. I don't even know that much about Unicron, even though I do like Galactus. But overall, I think that this would just be an intriguing and fun fight to see. So yeah, Galactus vs. Unicron is definitely the fight that I want to see from them. Tristan Waits asks, who would win, Venom versus Slender Man? I'm gonna be real with you guys right now, I really don't know anything about Slender Man at all. I know that he's a creepypasta character, and I know that he messes with people's heads, and it's mostly targeting children, but other than that, I really don't know anything about him. I do know, however, that Venom's main weaknesses are fire and sound, which Slender Man does not have, to my knowledge. And I also believe that, you can't really kill a symbiote otherwise, you don't just kill it. You basically have to have fire and sound, or fire or sound in order to kill kill it. And I believe he also does have some sort of mental resistance thanks to it kind of being like two minds, you know, the symbiote mind and the human mind. But then again, because of the kind of character that Slender Man is, I'm not sure Venom would be able to kill him either. He might be immortal. I really don't know. If I had to pick, I would say Venom, but take that with a grain of salt because I really don't know anything about Slender Man. Some of you guys in the comments might be proving me wrong as we speak, so yeah, that's my answer. Have you ever read the Warriors book series by Aaron Hunter? No, I have not, but now that you've mentioned it, I might look into it a little bit just to see what it's about. Can you react to the second official Venom trailer? Unfortunately, I've already seen the second Venom trailer, and while it is a pretty cool trailer, I don't really think it makes that much sense for me to react to something that I've already seen. It kind of defeats the purpose. But I kind of wish now that I had reacted to it because it does have some pretty cool things in there. Just fingers crossed that the movie's gonna be good. Gage Unruh asks, if you could warp reality, what would you do with that power? Honestly, probably the first thing that I would do with that ability is just give myself different powers and start testing all of them out, and then seeing which power or powers I like the most, and then just keep them as my own personal abilities. But another thing I would want to do is just, and this might sound a little cliche, but another thing I might want to do is just help out with world issues as much as I could. Because, you know, if I can warp reality, why wouldn't I do that? You know, I would just, you know, make sure that everyone has enough money so that money is not really an issue for them, and I would help out with world hunger, etc., etc. Because if I can just warp reality, it might be the only chance we have to quickly solve those problems. But yeah, the first thing I would do is, you know, those selfish power stuff, and then after that, I would probably just help out with the world as much as I could. Because again, why not? I have the ability to do so. Have you ever seen the anime Overlord? If not, I highly recommend it. I have not seen the anime Overlord, but thank you for the recommendation, and I will look more into it just to see what it's about. How far do you think you will go with YouTube? I usually don't like making predictions for future sub counts simply because I don't want to get my hopes up too high, and I don't want to expect that I'm going to get something when I may not actually get it. But if I had to pick, you know, well, something that I've noticed though is that, you know, as we get closer to 1,000 subs, it seems more and more attainable, and I think it is something that we can definitely make it to. However, I don't want to come off like saying, you know, like, oh, we're definitely going to hit 1,000 subs, you know, I deserve it, you know, I don't want to come off like that. I just think that now it is more and more attainable, and that's awesome because, you know, at the beginning of YouTube, I never thought that that was ever going to be attainable. If you want, like, a lowest number possible, like, I think we will definitely go here. I think we're definitely going to get to 800 subscribers, especially since that was, like, a prediction that I made, I think, in last Q&A, that we will hit it by, like, about the end of the year, which might not happen, but I do think that we are going to hit 800 subscribers, but 1,000 subscribers is definitely attainable now, and I think we can definitely make it there. So, yeah, hope that answers your question. Mr. Laughs asks, how long do you expect to do YouTube? This is a question that I honestly don't really have a good answer to, but I do honestly think that that's a good thing. I think that if I don't really know how long I'm going to do YouTube for, that means that I don't really have a certain date in mind when I'm going to stop, and I just think, you know, like, oh yep, this will eventually end, because from my point of view right now, this only ends when I want it to end, and right now, I don't want it to end at all. So I think right now it's a good thing that I don't really have any sort of end date in mind, or thinking, you know, like, oh yeah, here, this is probably where I'm gonna stop, because I don't want to think that way. If you want, like, a bare minimum for how long I will do YouTube for, I'm definitely gonna do it for the next year, because I know that I can do YouTube, you know, as long as I'm still in high school. I got 1 year of high school left. But, you know, I want to do it beyond that. I definitely don't have any plans to stop anytime soon. So, yeah, I don't really have a good answer to this question, but it will go on for a while longer. Trust me, it's not going to end anytime soon. Powerpuff Fan asks, if you were to choose an animal to be, what is it? I would probably choose to be a dog. In my opinion, dogs have some of the best lives. You know, they get to run around the house whenever they want, they get to go for walks, they get to sleep as much as they want, and they get to make their owners happy when they're feeling sad. You know, who wouldn't want to do that? And I know that dogs don't really live the longest, but overall, I do think that having a short, happy life is still a life worth living. So yeah, if I had to choose an animal to be, I would probably be a dog. Don't know what type of dog, but just a dog. Who is your favorite Powerpuff Girl? Even though I'm not too familiar with the Powerpuff Girls, I do believe that I have my answer to this question, and I've probably had my answer for a very long time now. My favorite Powerpuff Girl would probably be Buttercup, and for a few reasons. The first one is that green has always been my favorite color, and that probably had a big influence, you know, when I was young, and, you know, just seeing commercials on it, I'm just like, that's my favorite, that's the one. But the other reason is just because of her personality. I really like how she has, like, that tomboy personality, you know, like the tough girl, you know, again, tomboy personality, and I find that really funny. I find that really cool. That's probably the same reason why Raphael is my favorite Ninja Turtle. Please don't judge me. But yeah, that's honestly probably why, just because of the personality alone. Again, I can't really talk about, like, anything she's done or anything like that, because, I just don't watch the show, or the shows, but overall, yeah, I'd probably, if I had to choose, I would say that Buttercup is my favorite Powerpuff Girl. Should a Godzilla vs. the Powerpuff Girls match be a full-length feature film? Yes, totally, that should definitely be a movie. I can think of a lot of people, including myself, that would definitely love to see that movie being made. I'm not sure if it would just be, like, a movie-length episode of the Powerpuff Girls, or, like, a completely different movie in general, but overall, I would definitely love to see that movie happen. Jack Hamilton asks, do you think that episode 50 of Death Battle should have been Gohan vs. Superboy instead of Goku vs. Superman 2? I have to admit, after finding out that the 50th episode of Death Battle was just going to be a sequel to the original Goku vs. Superman, I was a little disappointed. And the episode itself, you know, at least in terms of the animation, was really, really well done. It's just that, you know, after finding out that it was just gonna be Goku vs. Superman 2, I was a little disappointed. It wasn't really what I was wanting or expecting. I thought it was gonna be a completely different episode that a lot of people really wanted to see. And, you know, for Gohan vs. Superboy, while it might not have been my first choice in general for the 50th episode, I would have definitely preferred it over Goku vs. Superman 2. Because Gohan vs. Superboy, I know a lot of people want to see it, and it is a very different fight, and I honestly do think it would have gone way differently than how the two Goku vs. Superman fights went. So yeah, I would probably have to say that I would prefer Gohan vs. Superboy as the 50th episode over Goku vs. Superman 2. What was the scariest film of your childhood? Honestly, I barely watched any scary films growing up. The films that I really liked to see during my childhood were films like animated films, action films, comedy films, and I never really found any of those scary for any reason, obviously. So yeah, I don't really have a big film that really stood out to me, that really scared me during my childhood. I do have to say though that the first time I ever saw Coraline, I forget how old I was, but the first time I ever saw Coraline, that one really freaked me out. It didn't give me nightmares or anything, but like that one was just really, really freaky in my opinion. I know some people didn't really find it scary, and I'm not sure if I would even call it like it was so frightening or anything. It just freaked me out a little bit. So I guess I'd have to say that, but that's really just because I don't have a huge film in my childhood that really scared me. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Who is your favorite villain? This might be kind of a cliche answer to some of you guys, but I honestly have to go with Darth Vader on this one. For me, Darth Vader is like the symbol of villainy, you know, like he's one of the most iconic villains of all time, and you don't really get much more badass than him despite, you know, the time where his movies were made. You know, like Star Wars, even if he does seem to be moving a little slow or whatever, you know, just how intimidating he was, and his design and everything about him was just so badass, and I just loved it, you know, even when I saw it when I was so very, very young. I just loved Darth Vader that much already. So yeah, and even though I do love a lot of other villains in fiction, especially from Marvel and DC, it's really hard for me to go against Darth Vader in this question. So yeah, I'd probably say Darth Vader is my favorite villain. Fiction Rumble asks, what match do you want to do so bad on your Who, When, and Why series? Because all of the suggestions for the show come from all of you guys and not from me, you know, for the Who, When, and Why series, I haven't really thought a lot about what fights I'd really like to do. However, if I did have to pick one, it would probably be Vision versus Red Tornado. Vision from Marvel, Red Tornado from DC. I've seen a lot of people in the Death Battle comment section suggest stuff like Martian Manhunter versus Vision, and honestly, I don't see it. I get that they can both phase through things and everything like that, but that's really where the similarities end for me. And also, I just feel that Martian Manhunter would utterly destroy Vision. So there's that. However, when it comes to Vision versus Red Tornado, not only do I feel like it's a much closer fight, but I feel that their origins are basically identical. They have much more similarities, you know, kind of in a Mewtwo versus Shadow type way. And also, their designs are also very similar, at least when you're looking at comic Vision and comic Red Tornado. So yeah, overall, even if it's not a fight that you guys have really thought of or you really want to see, if I had to choose one fight to do, it would probably be Vision versus Red Tornado. I think it's just a very intriguing fight. What Who, When, and Why episode would you love to remaster? The thought of remastering a Who, When, and Why hasn't really ever come to me, and I'm not sure if it is ever going to happen. It might, I'm not sure. But if I had to pick one to remaster, well, there's a lot of episodes in like the first 3 seasons, because that was like the roughest point of Who, When, and Why, that I would love to do over again with, you know, updated research, you know, updated analysis, and, you know, with just better interpretation of the research. You know, but if I had to pick one to do, it would probably be Captain America versus Deathstroke. This one I said before was one of my favorite fights in general, although that was probably just based off of the fight itself, you know, the idea, and not necessarily how I did the episode, and I think nowadays I could do it much, much better. I love both Captain America and Deathstroke, and I think, you know, I can present much better reasoning and, you know, much better everything, much better editing, much better quality, everything like that. And, you know, because Deathstroke is like my favorite DC villain, and Captain America is one of my favorite Marvel heroes, you know, it's just a fight that I would love to do again. So yeah, it would probably be Captain America versus Deathstroke that I would remaster. Mr. Sports Guy 13 asks, do you like or hate the Star Wars prequels? This question is actually quite tough for me to answer. When it comes to the first two episodes, The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, I hate them. I think they're absolute garbage movies, and I just put them at the very bottom of my Star Wars ranking list. However, and please don't judge me, for Revenge of the Sith Episode 3, it's actually my favorite Star Wars movie. Again, please don't judge me. I feel like I'm gonna get like a ton of hate in the comments, but it's actually my favorite Star Wars movie. So, you know, because I really love one of them and I hate two of the others, you know, it's hard for me to say how I feel about the trilogy as a whole. I guess overall I would say I hate it because I hate more movies than I love, but overall, you know, it's really hard. It's kind of split for me because, again, there's one I really, really like, and two I just don't like at all. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Who is your favorite movie character of all time? My answer to this question changes all the time. So, you know, if anyone were to ask me this like a few weeks later or however long later, the answer could very well change. But at the current moment right now, I would probably have to say that my favorite movie character is Darth Vader. And I know this ties into the last question with Star Wars and a few questions back for, you know, who's your favorite villain. But overall, I would have to say that Darth Vader is my favorite movie character. I still think that he's just so badass and so awesome. And even though he was stuck in movies that, you know, are very old by today's standards, I still think that he's an awesome character and an awesome villain. So yeah, again, this could very well change, and I do have some other movie characters that are high up there, but overall, I would still have to go with Darth Vader. Who is your favorite Spider-Man actor? Tobey, Andrew, or Tom? I'm not gonna lie, I honestly like the Tom Holland Spider-Man the most, you know, the one from the MCU, the newest one. And the reason for that is because I think he just brings the best of all worlds. He plays a nerdy Peter Parker, he plays a quippy Spider-Man, and I think he just acts like a very, you know, inexperienced hero. You know, he does that very well, and, you know, that's what Spider-Man is supposed to be at this point in his life. You know, he's supposed to be inexperienced, he's supposed to be, you know, quippy and jokey and everything like that, so I think he does that very well. And I do have some nitpicks with the other actors, even though I did like both of them in their own ways, I do have some nitpicks with them. For example, I think Tobey Maguire did a really good Peter Parker, but ultimately I didn't really see him as the perfect choice for Spider-Man. I never really saw him as the perfect choice for, you know, the web slinger. And when it comes to Andrew Garfield, you know, he nailed Spider-Man's personality, but he just wasn't true to what Peter Parker is, you know, like, even though he was still smart, he was a skateboarder, you know, this hipster guy, and that's not what Peter Parker is all about. But for me, Tom Holland, he blends in, you know, the best elements from both worlds, from both Peter Parker and Spider-Man, and his interactions with the other heroes are just great. So yeah, overall, I would have to say Tom Holland is my favorite Spider-Man. Nickel Clip asks, if you had the chance to be a Spider-Man character, who would you be? The problem with trying to pick a Spider-Man character is that they've all suffered through such tragedies. Like Spider-Man, you know, he's lost both his parents and his uncle. You know, Green Goblin, he lost his wife. You know, Eddie Brock, you know, he lost his legs. You know, almost every Spider-Man character has had some sort of tragedy in their life, and that really means that I don't really want to be any of them, because I don't want to have to go through that kind of tragedy. But if I had to pick a Spider-Man character, it would honestly probably be Toxin. For those of you that don't know, Toxin is the, you know, the symbiote that's the offspring of Carnage, which means that it's actually even stronger than the Carnage symbiote, which means that if I was Toxin, I'd be very, very powerful, and I believe, you know, also, he's more of a hero. At least nowadays, he's more of a hero than a villain, which means that the guy, I forgot what the guy's name is, the human guy, but he must have a good control over it, over the symbiote, or the symbiote. So, yeah, overall, I would probably have to say Toxin, though maybe I'm missing some sort of tragedy that the guy has been through that would change my answer, but at this moment, I would probably have to say Toxin. King Riolu the Immortal asks, did you know that you had 666 subscribers? Yes, I did know that, and I was so happy when I got there. I actually took a screenshot of the live counter, and I actually put it on Snapchat, and a lot of people were responding it saying, you know, like, great job, man, that's awesome. So yeah, that was a really cool number to hit. I definitely noticed that I hit 666. Favorite 2D and 3D death battle? My favorite 2D death battle would probably have to be Naruto versus Ichigo. I know a lot of Bleach fans are pretty upset that Ichigo lost, and I know some people still don't agree with it, or they don't agree with the reasoning, but for me, I thought that not only the animation was really, really well done, and I thought it was actually a pretty good length, but I also just thought that, you know, the reasoning at the end, you know, it was very extensive, and it was very cool. I liked the way how they approached everything, and I thought, you know, it made a lot of sense to me. I don't even know either of the characters overly well, so, you know, that just goes to show how much I like the episode if I was to call that one, you know, my favorite 2D one. And in terms of 3D, if we're just talking about the animation itself, I would probably have to to say Dante versus Bayonetta, just because of everything that was going on. I thought that it just looked beautiful. I've rewatched that one over and over again just because of how much I love it. But if we're talking about the overall episode, I'd probably have to say Iron Man versus Lex Luthor. Not only do I like both of the characters, but I thought the animation was really well done. I liked the reasoning for the most part, and I just thought the analyses were really funny and really well done. So yeah, those are probably my favorite death battles. How would you feel if Screw Attack did Ben 10 versus Beast Boy as a death battle? I would be super stoked to see Ben 10 versus Beast Boy as a death battle. I loved both of the characters growing up, in both of their respective TV shows, or, Ben 10 has had a lot of different TV shows, and I just think that, both of them, I think they're both awesome characters. It could depend on which version of Ben 10 they use. I think I would prefer them to use some versions of Ben 10 over others, just to make it more fair. And if I was to do a prediction for this fight, it would definitely be very, very, very different from, the Who and Why episode that I made, however long ago, because I know I got quite a lot wrong in that episode, in that video, and, some of my opinions have changed very drastically. So yeah, there's that. But overall, if they did decide to do this episode, I'd be super stoked, and I'd be really excited to see it, because I just love both of the characters, and I think they do a really good job. JJ Slider asks, how do you feel about Ironheart getting her own movie, considering how trash she is? I'm not sure if Ironheart getting her own movie is just a rumor at this point, or if it's actually fact that it is going to happen. I'm honestly not sure. I don't think it's been confirmed, though. But if it has been confirmed, whether or not, I can definitely see them going down that route, simply because, a lot of the other heroes' contracts are up, like Hulk, Captain America, Iron Man, everyone like that, their contracts are up. They need newer heroes, and they want younger people so they can have them in longer contracts and keep them around for a while. So unfortunately, I can definitely see them going down that route. I don't hate Ironheart as much as a lot of other people seem to, but I would not be too happy if she got her own movie. I wouldn't really be so thrilled about it. I do think that there are better projects or other, better movies that they could be doing instead. So yeah, overall, I wouldn't be too excited for it, but at the same time, I don't think I would absolutely hate it either. But overall, I prefer if they just did other projects. Any characters you would like to see in the Injustice franchise? Obviously, the big character that I want to see in Injustice is Beast Boy. In terms of the 5 original Titans, the Teen Titans from the show, Beast Boy is the only one that hasn't joined the cast as a playable character yet. So I definitely like to see him there, especially considering, he's my favorite DC character, and I think they could get really creative with all, the combos and all the shape-shifting that he could do. I think that could be really cool to see, and I think they could get really creative with that. And if we're not talking about Beast Boy, I actually wouldn't mind seeing Azrael as a playable character. He's like a Batman character that wears magical armor that gives him, like, superhuman abilities. I think they could also do some cool things with him. And you know what, maybe even throw in Alfred there. He's kicked some butt over the years. What matchup do you not want Death Battle to cover that's decently popular that isn't a rematch? I kind of mentioned this already, but a Death Battle that I don't really want Death Battle to do is Martian Manhunter versus Vision. I just really don't see, why a lot of people seem to think that they're, such a good match for each other. There is the phasing thing, I do understand that, but that's, again, really where the similarities end. Both of them have so many different powers, and just having one, cool power in common, I just don't really see how that's a good enough reason to put them together. And another thing is, I just feel, Martian Manhunter's other big opponent, Martian Manhunter versus Piccolo, I wouldn't really be so thrilled to see that one either, because I just think that it's kind of obvious who wins, and, I think it's just been done by a lot of other, channels and things like that before. It's kind of been overdone at this point. So yeah, any popular matchup with Martian Manhunter, I just feel, that there are reasons not to do it. But yeah, overall, I don't really want to see Martian Manhunter versus Vision. I think Vision has a much better opponent, and, I just don't really see the connections too well between the two. So, yeah, there you go. Chris Regata asks, do you watch any anime? I still don't watch too much anime overall. There are some anime where I know quite a bit of the lore about the anime, or of the anime, like Naruto and Dragon Ball and everything like that. But, in terms of actually watching anime, I haven't stuck with a lot of them, simply because, some of them are such a big time commitment, and, even the longest ones that or the ones that I've stuck around with for the longest amount of time, I still haven't stuck around with for too long. There are some anime that seem really cool that I may want to get into one day, such as like Berserk, Tokyo Ghoul, maybe even Elfen Lied after seeing Carnage vs. Lucy, but overall, at this point right now, I still don't watch too much anime. Cody Lane asks, what are your favorite heroes and villains from the DC universe? My favorite DC hero, as a lot of you already know, is definitely Beast Boy, simply because, I watched Teen Titans, and I thought he was an awesome character, and I kind of just stuck with him throughout, including in the comics. Although some other DC characters I really love are Flash and Batman, because both of them I just find are so awesome. I like them for their own reasons, seasons, and I watched them in, the Justice League animated show, which was pretty cool. And in terms of villains, my favorite DC villain is definitely Deathstroke, because again, as a lot of you already know, I think he's just such a badass, and I didn't actually like him, originally when he was Slade in the Teen Titans show. I actually got more into him, in the comics, and I like him more as Deathstroke rather than Slade, but that's just my opinion. And a lot of the other DC villains that I like are, more like in Batman's rogues gallery, like Joker, Ra's al Ghul, etc., etc. In general, DC has quite a lot of good villains, so there's really a lot of good ones to choose from. Who are your favorite heroes and villains from the Marvel Universe? My favorite hero is definitely Nightcrawler. I've liked Nightcrawler for a very long time, especially after seeing X2, and I think even before that, but seeing X2 with him, in his breakout scene, the very beginning of the movie, I just loved that, and I fell in love with the character of Nightcrawler, and I still really like him to this day. However, there are other Marvel heroes I really like, such as Spider-Man and Hulk. I've loved them for a very long time, basically, as soon as I saw them, and I just think they're such iconic Marvel characters, how could you not love them? And in terms of villains, my favorite Marvel villain overall, after doing a lot of thinking, is probably Doctor Doom. To me, he's like, the big Marvel villain, and to me, he's just got it all. He's got the motivation, he's got the look, he's got everything. He has his own country, so I just have a big amount of respect for him. However, other Marvel villains that I really like are Magneto, mostly from the X-Men animated show from the 90s, and Loki, I got into him after seeing, the movies and what Tom Hiddleston has done with him. However, there are other villains, such as, Spider-Man villains, like Green Goblin and Carnage, that I also really like as well. So yeah, there you go. What's your favorite Pokemon of all time? I'm honestly not too into Pokemon, and I've never really been too into Pokemon at any point in my life. However, there are some Pokemon that I do really like more than others. For example, I really like Mewtwo, I really like Charizard. Yes, some of these are, more introduced from Death Battle or even like Super Smash Brothers or anything like that. But those two I seem to really like. There was also, I think, one of the first Pokemon cards I ever received was a Pokemon of Lickitung. Not even sure if any of you guys have heard of that guy, but I just loved the image, with the guy with such a huge tongue, and, so he holds a special place in my heart, too. But yeah, overall, I'd probably have to say Mewtwo, especially after seeing, Mewtwo versus Shadow, despite what you think of the Death Battle, that was one of the biggest introductions, to Mewtwo for me, or of Mewtwo, to me, and, I just think he's an awesome character, with all his abilities, his, communication through telekinesis. I think he's, or, telepathy, I guess I should say. I think he's a really cool character. So yeah, I'd probably have to say Mewtwo overall is my favorite. SpiderSonic01 asks, when are you going to finish watching RWBY? For those of you that don't know, which is pretty much all of you, I am very behind when it comes to RWBY. I remember that when I first started getting into it, there were 3 seasons that were finished, and I loved it so much that I basically binge-watched through all of it. However, after the 4th season came out, I kind of just kept pushing it off. And I believe now I think the 5th season is finished, and I still haven't resumed it. So I'm 2 full seasons behind. And I've wanted to get back into it, but sometimes I find that I'm busy, or sometimes I find that I'm lazy, and I don't really want to get back into it. I will eventually, I just don't know when, is when I can bring myself to do it. However, I have heard that some people who do watch RWBY have said that Season 4 and Season 5 kind of go a little downhill from what Seasons 1, 2, and 3 did, so that's another reason why I'm not so eager to get back into it. But I will get back into it, I'm just not 100% sure when, so yeah, sorry. Thoughts on Titans and Teen Titans Season 6 happening? I'll answer the Teen Titans Season 6 part of the question first. I am so excited. I'm so happy that they're actually bringing back the show. They have the voice actors, so I was thinking that it was just a matter of time before they were going to bring it back, especially since everybody wanted it and everybody hated, or most everybody hated, the Teen Titans Go show, so I'm really happy that now, the original show is coming back and the fans are getting what they want. I am so stoked. I loved that show when I was a kid, and I'm so happy it's coming back. When it comes to Titans, however, I kind of have the opposite reaction. I'm not really excited for that show at all. I'll probably give it a try, but overall it's not looking like it's gonna be good. Originally I was happy that we were getting a live-action Beast Boy, but because of the lack of CGI and special effects that this show is going to have, it looks like the one time that they're bringing Beast Boy in, they're not gonna do him justice, because it looks like, he's not gonna be green, he's gonna have like some sort of cloaking device or something, I guess, that's my guess. But and that just kind of sucks because they just don't have the budget to have him in green form, and he's probably not going to be turning into animals too often, which kind of sucks. And honestly, the only character that actually looks close to the comic book counterpart is Robin, and his personality is already, raising some eyebrows. So I'm not really sure about how I feel about the show exactly. I'll give it a try. Fingers crossed that it's going to be good, but I don't know. I really don't know what to think right now. What do you think of Smash Ultimate? Overall, I'm very excited for Smash Ultimate. I am going to be getting a Nintendo Switch for Christmas just so I can get this game. You know, I've already asked for that. I know I'm already probably going to get it. So yeah, I'm really excited that this game is actually happening. You know, for me, not owning a Wii U, I wasn't able to play Super Smash Bros. U unless I went over to a friend's place, which wasn't too often. So overall, I'm really happy that I am going to be able to play this new game, and I am happy that all the characters are going to be coming back. You know, I know that means that not a lot of new characters are coming, but I do like that feature that they added, so, you know, like, anyone, you know, no one's going to be upset, you know, that their favorite character is now out, or now out of the game. You know, they're going to be able to play whoever they want, you know, that they were able to play before, so that's really cool. I really like how they're doing that. And, you know, there are some characters that, you know, I think it's a little questionable why they put them in, such as King K. Rool. Some of you guys might be excited for that character. I don't know, I'm kind of indifferent about that, but overall, I am really excited. There is one thing, though, that I'm not really happy about, which is that, you know, the final smashes are kind of, like, very quick, and you don't really get to control them. Final smash is one of my favorite part of that game, so now it's kind of like, they kind of, like, taken it down a notch a little bit, which kind of sucks for me, but overall I am still really excited for this game, and I'm really excited to see what else it has in store. Lucas Green asks, who would you personally say is the smartest character in the Marvel Universe? There are a lot of extremely smart characters in the Marvel Universe, such as, you know, Mr. Fantastic, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Ant-Man, Beast, Hulk, you know, or at least in Bruce Banner form, and then there are a lot of smart villains, you know, such as Doctor Doom, Leader, MODOK, everyone like that, so that's a really hard question to answer, but overall I would probably have to go with Mr. Fantastic. To me, Mr. Fantastic has always been, you know, like, the genius guy that you always go to, you know, like, he's always the smartest one. I believe he actually does have the highest IQ out of any Marvel hero. I believe he is, like, I think it's like 267 or something, whereas I think, like, Spider-Man is like 250, Iron Man is 195. Yeah, it's actually that gap, you know, between Spider-Man and Iron Man actually really surprised me. But yeah, overall, I do, like, he's always just been in my mind, you know, being the smartest character in the Marvel Universe. You know, I know there's always been that rivalry between him and Iron Man, but I just think that Mr. Fantastic is definitively the smartest hero in the Marvel Universe, or maybe even the smartest character. But yeah, that's just my opinion on that. How would you rank the Batman villains from all the Batman movies? There are some Batman villains that I'll probably leave out of this ranking, you know, just because I haven't seen the movies that they're in, or I don't really remember them too much, but I'd probably put the Adam West characters all at the bottom, you know, probably just, it'd be Riddler at the bottom, then Catwoman, then Penguin, and then Joker, just because I thought, you know, they could, like, again, you know, they're goofy characters, and I thought, you know, they could have been done better, you know, in other forms of media, but overall, after that, so after all of those, then I would probably say Talia al Ghul from, you know, The Dark Knight Rises, then The Dark Knight Rises Catwoman, then The Dark Knight Rises Bane, then the Batman Returns Catwoman, then The Dark Knight Two-Face, then the Batman Returns Penguin, then the Batman Begins Scarecrow, then the Batman Begins Ra's al Ghul, then the Batman, or the Batman Joker, and then the Dark Knight Joker. That's probably my ranking, so yeah, that's probably how I'd put them all. How would you rank the Skylanders games? My ranking of these games is honestly probably going to be very different from a lot of other rankings on the internet, simply because, you know, this is mainly based off of my personal experiences with them, but here we go. So, at the top spot, I would probably put, Skylanders Swap Force. I remember having some of the best memories with that game, and I thought the actual idea of swapping tops and bottoms was very inspired, and yeah, even if the levels were a little long, I do remember really enjoying the game and thinking that some of the levels were really, really clever. Next, I would probably put Skylanders Imaginators, which is the newest game. That one I thought actually, you know, brought Skylanders back from, like, a time where I didn't really think they were doing too well in terms of their games. I still enjoyed it. I thought making your own Skylanders is something that a lot of people, including me, had been waiting for a very long time. So yeah, I was really happy that we were able to do that. Next, I would probably say the first game, simply because, you know, it's the first one, and I thought it was a really cool idea, and I really, like, it blew my mind when I first, you know, played it, so I thought that was really fun. After that would probably be Trap Team. This one I didn't really love as much. I didn't really like the whole idea of, well, it's not that I didn't like it, but, you know, actually, like, you know, sucking in, you know, the characters, you know, into, like, these little traps or whatever. You know, I thought that was okay. It was kind of like Pokemon or whatever, but again, it didn't really interest me too much. much, and I didn't really like how you couldn't level up your other characters any further, so that kind of sucked. What else? And then after that, I would probably say the second game, Skylanders Giants. The Giants were not as fun to play as I thought they were going to be, and, you know, I just thought, you know, the game, I thought, was it shorter? I think the game was a little shorter than the first one, and I don't know, there's the lack of new characters, you know, the original characters kind of bugged me, and in last place, I would put Skylanders Superchargers. To be honest, I didn't play this game too much, but there was probably a good reason for that. You know, just the whole racing thing, I thought there could have been way better ideas for that, and I just thought, you know, turning, like, everything, like, every other second you were just doing this racing thing, I just didn't really love it too much. So yeah, that's probably how I would rank the Skylanders games, but other people's rankings are probably going to be way different than mine, so yeah, that's my ranking. So guys, that's the end of the Q&A. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I want to thank each and every one of you who asked questions, because the questions were really, really good this time around, and I want to thank each and every one of you for, you know, asking them, because without you guys, this video would not exist. So thank you all so much for asking, and I really hope I answered the questions, you know, well. I answered them to the best of my ability, so I really hope you got the answers that you wanted, or the types of answers that you wanted. But again, thank you all for doing that. And again, thank you all so much for 700 subscribers. That is so freaking amazing, and we're still going strong, which is just amazing. You know, the view counts keep getting higher and everything like that. So I'm really excited, you know, for what comes next, and, you know, for everything else that's about to happen. So yeah, I'm really excited for that. I hope you guys are excited for it too. If you like this video, give this video a huge like. I always appreciate the likes. Comment down what you thought of it, what you thought of the Q&A, anything you want to comment down, really anything like that. And your view is plenty of contribution no matter what you do. So thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And that's it for me. I will see all of you guys in the next video. Peace out.